I became
this sober vet.
Don't live, don't live, don't live.
Our mission is to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. All right, well, welcome, world. We are together again. This is episode 6 of This Sober Vet. I am Joe Urich, and I would like to introduce arguably the greatest therapist in America, Dr. Teresa Thomas. What up, Dr. T?
Hey, what's going on, Joe?
I'm super excited because today we are hearing a story from the elusive Army Chief Warrant Officer. How about that?
Sweet. I love that.
A lot of people didn't even know they exist. As you know, though, I'm going to have to start with a story. I always got to keep this flowing. As everyone knows, I own a company called J-Dog Junk Removal, and our trucks are obnoxiously beautiful. Like I like to say, they're wrapped in woodland camo. It says J-Dog all over them. Well, my buddy who wraps our trucks, he was actually a warrant officer in the Army, and he was a Black Hawk pilot. So when I was meeting with him, when we were figuring out the wrap for my truck, we always share stories. And he was like, dude, I got to tell you this story. So when he was deployed for Iraqi freedom, enduring freedom, him and his co-pilot often had to take VIPs to FOBs, which are forward operating bases. And this one particular, I think he said it was a brigadier general or a general, like it was a high ranking officer. He came on the tarmac really flexing his rank and was kind of not very nice to my buddy and his co-pilot. So they have something for people that act like that. So about 10 minutes into the flight, he looks over to his co-pilot, and I forget exactly what the term was, but for example, he'll say like, all right, dude, Operation Blue Falcon. And then the co-pilot's like, all right, Blue Falcon. So before I get into what happens, he told me that in the startup operations for the Black Hawk helicopter, the key to turn it on only has the function to kick over the engine. After that, you could take the key out. It doesn't affect anything in the helicopter. So 10 minutes into flight, he looks at his co-pilot, says, Operation Blue Falcon. And co-pilot goes, all right, reaches over, grabs a key, takes it out, tosses it into the back seat where these generals are sitting. And then my buddy nosedives and goes, grab that key. So now the general's in the back panicking. This Black Hawk is nosediving. So they finally grab the key. They throw it up front. They put the key back in. And then my buddy levels out and he was like, whoo, man, that key is loose. Thank you, guys. But again, it was just his way of messing with these generals, which was hilarious. So yeah, that's one of my favorite warrant officer stories ever. So I say that to say this. Today's guest, who is sitting to my left, is a Army veteran. He was Chief Warrant Officer Bud Blevins. So welcome, Bud. How are you?
Thank you, Joe. I'm fine. I'm great. It's a nice day.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
We
really appreciate you. And again, I'm excited to have a sober Chief Warrant Officer because I didn't even know they existed. So look at that.
Well, at least one does.
Yeah.
Nice. So, Bud, if you don't mind starting in the beginning, like, how did you choose the Army? When did you enlist? What was your MOS?
Well, it's really strange because I went in the Army early, and it wasn't supposed to be my career. In fact, that was the last thing on my mind. And when I got out of the Army, and then I went into I went into the National Guard. So I was in the National Guard, and we had our weekend drills. And this was in the 70s, mid 70s, and we were having our drills, and one of the senior warrant officers that were in our unit asked me if I would be interested in working full time up at the Gap for the DOD.
Okay.
And I was around 30, late 30s, and I was looking for something to enhance my career and also for retirement. And so I eventually got a job full time at the Gap, and then I just went on from there to the CSMS at 40 Town Gap as a maintenance tech, working on trucks,
Okay.
Then I
Okay.
went into the inspection section, and in the inspection section, you were allowed to be a warrant officer because
Mhm.
your wage grade would let you go to warrant school. But plus,
Gotcha.
also, you had to have a slot in the National Guard unit to get to go to warrant officer school. So I got all that stuff and went to school, went to basic training, and became a warrant officer in late '80s, early '90s. My MOS was a 915 Echo, which is a senior warrant officer
Oh wow. Okay.
for
9:15.
ordnance. I was in charge of what we call a ground. I was a ground warrant, and your friend was a aviation warrant. Those are
Okay.
the two different categories of warrants.
Gotcha.
But also the MOS controls how you work and where you work and what you work on. So I was in charge of a maintenance facility for the Pennsylvania Army National Guards, and in charge of the rolling stock, the track stock, all kinds of, I mean, everything that they owned. So it was a good responsibility.
Outstanding.
I served 35 years altogether.
Ooh. Well, welcome home. That is a long time to stay committed. Wow. So you didn't retire. Did you have the option to retire after 20? Or is the National
Yes,
Guard different?
we in the National Guard, if you're a warrant officer, you can ask for a waiver to age. It's mandatory actually to retire when you're age 60. It's mandatory. When you're a warrant officer in the National Guard, you can ask for a waiver to stay till you're age 62 in 2 months. So I did that. I asked for the waiver, and I just that was my career. I wanted to stay as long as I could, and I retired December 8, 2008.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Okay.
Nice. So what was your addiction? What was your drug of choice? How did you get into
Alcohol, mostly alcohol, some drugs once in a while, grass once in a while, not much, but mostly alcohol. Alcohol, beer. It's and it had me. I ruined my life for 10 years through alcohol. I and it was God sent that I even got the desire to stop drinking. You know, I was bad. I wasn't physically bad, mentally, more mentally than physically. But I remember. Actually, I remember my last drunk like it was yesterday. I was at a golf tournament for. I don't know if you guys remember your place up in Lidditz. Your place, they used to have a golf tournament once a year. And so we were at this golf tournament drinking all day long and making an idiot out of myself. So then we went into the bar and started drinking there. And I remember the bartender saying, if you don't get the H out of here, I'm going to call the cops.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea what I did. I have no idea how I got home. I was in a blackout. And I woke up the next day and I didn't know anything. And I'm thinking, man, you got to do something about your life, because I wasn't that old. I was only 28 at the time.
Yeah. Is that when you realized your addiction was a problem?
Well, I knew it was a problem before, but I was just like any other addictive person. I didn't admit it to myself. But God sent that a spirit to me that you got to do something for yourself if you want to survive. And
Yeah.
I've wrecked cars. I bet you I wrecked a car every 6 months,
wow.
and they were bad. I rolled over Volkswagens. I hit telephone poles head on, and walked away.
Jeez.
Wow.
All kinds of stuff like that.
Did you ever get a DUI?
It's funny you asked that. I got a DUI, and this is a good story too, like
Yeah.
your story. I worked construction, and I was on my way home from we worked at Nutsville Elementary School in Nutsville. On my way home, and we stopped for some beer. Everybody else left but me. I stayed longer, and then I was on my way home, and I was on Orange Street in Lancaster, and I stopped at a traffic light, and there was a policeman on a motorcycle in front of me. So light turned green. He started to go, and he stopped right in front of me. So I broke his taillight lens, is what they said.
Oh, no.
They took me down to the police station, and this is back when they first started coming out with that breathalyzer. I had to take that thing 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And then they threw a whole bunch of change on the floor and said, pick up 32 cents, and then, walk heel and toe and all that kind of stuff. So I'm getting frustrated. I'm drinking, I'm a kid. I'm stupid. I said I asked the cop, I said, how long have you been on the police force? He said, I've been on the police force 3 years. I said, well, you ride a motorcycle like a damn rookie. Well,
Yeah,
of
that's
course,
not good.
I got a DUI. Back then, with the state, the damage to the vehicle had to be $100 or more. The damage to the motorcycle was $105 damage.
Oh, jeez.
So they've set me up.
Mhm.
If my big mouth and drunk mouth wasn't took
Right.
over my butt,
Right. Yeah.
I'd have been okay. They probably let me go.
Wow, that's wild. Now, did you have to take the breathalyzer 3 times
Yeah.
for an average, or because like you
No,
weren't blowing in it right, or?
I don't know. I guess that was 1969,
Oh, geez. That's a long time ago.
That is a long time ago. Wow.
and this is something to put out there. That stayed on my record for all my life, and I went to get a carry permit, and they wouldn't give me one because of that.
Really?
Yeah,
So that doesn't fall off after 7 years, or no way?
not. I don't know why.
Wow.
But so I had to get it exhumed from my records to get a permit to carry.
Now, did you know there's a thing in Lancaster called Veterans Court that will help you get things off your record like that? I don't know. If
I
you
didn't
knew.
know that.
Okay.
It's off. It's off now though.
Nice.
I just happened to have a friend that his wife worked for a lawyer, so $300 it was off.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Okay, good. You got that taken care of.
My record's clean. And you know what? This is for you guys out there. Ever since I quit drinking, I haven't had an accident at all. I haven't hit anybody. I haven't rolled a car over. I haven't hit a telephone pole. I haven't even hit a curb.
Amen to that. Good.
Amen to that,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're in the right mind frame. That's great.
But alcohol was in control of my life for sure. And my father-in-law bet me many times to stop drinking just for a week. He bet me $50. Now this is going back in the late '60s, early '70s. $50 that I wouldn't quit drinking just for a week. So my alcoholic mind I wouldn't drink beer, but I drank vodka with orange juice because you can't smell that. You know that you can't. But if you drink enough, you can you can get drunk and stumble.
Wow.
That wasn't on my mind though. The smell. Of course, I lost.
Yeah, so you couldn't make it a week back then? Wow. Okay. J-Dog is your local veteran-owned and operated junk removal company. We do everything from a single-item pickup to a full estate cleanout. We also do small demo, sheds, playgrounds, jacuzzis. Our pricing is based on volume. Estimates are always free. We also do our best to keep items out of the landfill. We have a warehouse in Willow Street where we take repurposed items. There we are able to donate to veterans in need, and the last Saturday of the month, we open it up to the public garage sale style so everyone can enjoy these items. Put some local veterans to work. Call J-Dog today, 844-GET-JDOG or 484-467-1424. Now, what do you think the purpose of drinking was? Did you do it because you just enjoyed the buzz? Were you trying to suppress some things, or?
Well, I'm sure that I inherited that from my dad. My father was he drank a lot. My brother turned out to be, well, actually both of them passed away from strokes from alcohol and smoking.
Oh wow, okay.
So
Wow.
I'm the odd one of the family.
So you broke a generational curse.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I hope. I'm praying. And my son, either my sons drink. They don't drink at all. And they haven't seen me. They haven't. My children were really young when I quit drinking. Thank
Okay,
God.
Good. So there's no memories of you coming in
No.
drunk or slurring your words. Gotcha. So I could also relate. So my dad, when I grew up, and I thought this was totally normal, my dad had one of those like cargo passenger vans that had like the pilot seats in the second
yeah.
row. And right behind his seat, he would have a paper bag from Acme or Giant, and he would keep a cooler to his right. And while he was driving, he'd pop open a Coors and be drinking and then crush it, put it in the trash can behind him. And I've seen him get pulled over with this cooler next to him and the empties behind him, talk to the cop, take his ticket, keep on driving. Like the cop didn't know he was drinking. And to me, this is what I was raised with. So I'm like, I guess it's normal to drink
Yeah.
and drive. So like when I was an alcoholic, I would drink and drive too. And that is like the worst thing to possibly
It is,
do.
and I thank God today that I've never hurt anyone while I was drinking and driving,
Yeah.
especially in a blackout.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have known it.
Right. Because that's the word. Because
Oh,
could you
yeah.
imagine waking up the next day and finding out that you killed someone in an accident. Like,
that would
oh my
that
God.
would terrify me.
Yeah, that's devastating. Wow.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about these programs like yours is AA, Celebrate Recovery. There's all kinds of programs out there for someone that really wants to get help, and the help is good. I've been sober almost 50 years now,
Nice. Congrats.
and I started in AA in August 17th, 1975. I started in AA, and then when COVID hit, we had to cancel our meeting. My sponsor that I had ever since I started going to AA, his daughter was involved with Celebrate Recovery in Mannheim,
Okay.
which is a great program as well. And so when COVID hit, we started going to there, and I just stayed there because I love it.
Nice. That's good. Yeah, it's good that you're continuing these treatments and continuing your community of sobriety. and
That's
huge.
funny because people ask me all the time, why do you still go to meetings? And I just tell them, meeting makers make it. They make it in life. I learn every day something new just from people sharing their stories, their strengths and their weaknesses with me and with everyone. That this is working. This program works. So it's rewarding, and I get a chance to help others too. That's the main thing.
Yes. Isn't that fulfilling?
Oh yeah, I've done my testimonial with Celebrate Recovery like 4 times now, in different places around Lancaster, and Lebanon, and my church. They asked me to do my testimonial too.
So I'm in a B&I group called Rebel Rockstars here in Lancaster, and my buddy Tom, after I announced what we were doing with this podcast, he was like, oh man, this guy just spoke at my church, and connected me with Bud, and luckily Bud decided to come on the show. So God made this happen. This was a God connection.
That's a God connection, right?
God's in charge of me every day.
Yeah. So when we think of the tools that you use, but you'd say AA, Celebrate Recovery, what other tools would you say are helping you to stay sober?
My wife helped me because when I first started going to AA, even though she didn't drink, she didn't drink much, and she wasn't addicted to alcohol, she still had a problem with me understanding the alcoholic. So she started going to Al-Anon, which that helped her. That helped her help me. And when you have 2 people working together, it's so much easier to recover in a better way, because one person can see something that I don't, or vice versa. And,
right.
I've always had a sponsor to help me through hard times.
Yes.
Now, were you married when you were going through like the thick of this?
Yeah, I was married. I was married 30 years. And my wife passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry to hear
That's
that,
tough.
Bud.
But
Yes.
God did us both good, and I say that that He gave me a chance to be with her when she passed away. She had an asthmatic attack, and I gave her CPR, and fortunately, the Army taught me how to do that. They trained me how to do that. But it wasn't enough because her bronchial tubes were clogged, almost shut.
Yeah.
But she's resting in peace. She's sleeping, waiting for the rapture to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife is actually the reason why I quit drinking. She kind of hit me with an ultimatum. She had enough. She had worked with me, and I told her I was cutting back, but instead of cutting back, I was sneaking, and I was like drinking behind her back. So once she found all my empties, that's when she was like, listen, we're done. It's either us or the alcohol. And I have 2 boys, and I'm a child of divorce, so I didn't want to put them through that. So by my wife giving me this ultimatum, and in my journey with Christ, I had felt in my soul, like God has talked to me before, years before I quit drinking, and was like, you need to stop this because this is bringing nothing. This is not adding value to your life at all. It's actually destroying you. But I wasn't ready because as addicts, we just keep masking and going back.
We're tough guys when we're young.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing can beat us.
Yeah, so when she gave me that ultimatum, it really scared me to the core because I really thought like, wow, here's this woman that I pursued, and at this point we were married like 11 or 12 years, and she's willing to leave me because of what I'm choosing to do, and that scared the crap out of me. So that day I quit cold turkey, and I'm sober now, a little over 2.5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I look
Yes.
at it when a person, addictive person, can go one day without that drugs or alcohol. That's a miracle.
That's
That's
a
a miracle
huge
in my
win.
mind the whole way, and I can relate to that about your wife because I truly believe that God wanted me to quit to because of my young family. I wasn't married that long, maybe 10, 12 years.
Hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
uh, and I had to sign a paper. My wife made me sign a paper that I would never drink again as long as I lived.
Well, good. That's a commitment. Good for her.
I still have that paper today too. I run across it every once in a while, but
Good for
Yeah.
it
her.
reminds me.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's making a commitment. That's literally
Yes.
signing something. That's great. One thing I thought about. So
Mhm.
yesterday I turned 43, and my wife had posted something very nice about how much she loves me and how she's proud of me and how much joy I bring to my family. And if I didn't make that decision 2.5 years ago, that post never would happen. And but now by choosing
Mm.
sobriety and doing the harder right, my family's proud of me. My relationship with them is way
Hmm.
better. Just everything is so much better, and that's the common denominator with every story here, and that's what we want every listener to hold on to.
Yes.
Is the journey's not easy, but it is so worth it because when you're
Amen.
drinking and you're stuck in that cycle, nothing positive is happening ever. So to get out of it and break free and just to have the freedom, like you were talking about being behind a motorcycle cop on the way here, I was in front of a police officer and I was thinking like back in the day around this
Yeah.
time, I probably would have been drinking
Uh-huh.
and I would have been so scared and watching the speed limit. And I'm like, what's up? Pull me over. I'm sober. Like, yeah.
I don't worry about that anymore.
Yeah, so it's a huge freedom,
It
that
is a
we share
freedom.
now as sobriety. Yeah, and that's what we want for others. Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know,
Absolutely. And we talk about that support
yeah.
system again
Hmm.
as well. That support system is so important in sobriety. And so, Bud, tell me, what does your support system look like now for
Well,
you?
I have a sponsor that I've had ever since the first day that I started coming to AA
Wow.
or going to AA, and he's been a blessing, and um, he's been I've been so blessed to have him as a friend, and it's more than that. And this guy is a veteran. He's a Marine veteran, and he's been sober. I'm waiting to give him his 53-year sobriety coin
Wow. Nice.
Wow, that is
It is
amazing.
amazing.
Yes.
But he's on oxygen now, and he's not doing really well. His heart's failing. He has asbestosis, all kind of medical problems. So he can't get around. And we usually go to breakfast every other Monday. So, and this past Monday we were supposed to go, and I was going to give him his coin, but he called me up and said he couldn't make it, and found out that he was in the hospital the next day, from not being able to breathe right.
Wow.
So, but I have to look at him and see how much joy he has, just even though he's going through all this hardship, how much joy and laughter he
Mhm.
has in his life, and he's happy.
Good for
And
him.
to see that is just overwhelming to me. That it's just crazy, and I know it's because of his sobriety and his love for God and Jesus.
Absolutely. I just got goosebumps. That's huge. I
And
love that.
and I,
Yes.
I go to Celebrate Recovery every Tuesday night in Mannheim, and the great thing about that
Mhm.
program. Now, don't get me wrong, AA is a great program as well, and Celebrate Recovery, and there's a lot of great programs. It's just I have to find the one that I feel comfortable with.
Hmm.
Fits. Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
so Celebrate Recovery in Mannheim is closed for me, and they have I won't call it a daycare, but they have a child teachings of Jesus at that meeting. So if a parent wants to come there, and it's not only about alcohol or drugs, It's about any kind of hang up that you have that you want to get rid of, if you want to work through.
Right.
So they have a lady there that teaches kids about the things in the Bible, about the importance, but resurrection and birth and Christ's birth and stuff like that. It's really a great program. That's part of my support program every week. My kids, my sons, my grandkids, they all know that I go there, and Tuesday night is my night.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Church, I go to church
Yeah.
every week. I take a guy. I take a guy that's 91 years old to church, so I get to spend time down there. And a lot of them know me that I'm in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And they found out when I did my testimonial down there. So,
Nice.
and it's nice to help people because that helps me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't give it away, I can't keep it. It's just like that for anything.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I heard that helped me a lot in AA when I first started going there, a lady mentioned in the meetings, if you stop drinking a day at a time, just one day at a time, things will happen to you beyond your wildest dreams. And when I heard her say that, I got chills, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Nice.
And things have happened to me beyond my
Yeah.
wildest dreams, I tell you.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Are you or do you know a veteran who is struggling with substance abuse that could use some motivation? Have them tune in. Look, they won't change until they're ready to, but if we could cause a crack in the dam, it doesn't hurt to listen. If you are a sober veteran that would like to share your story in hopes to inspire others, please contact us at thissobervet.com. Show notes and more info could be found at thissobervet.com, and be sure to check us out on social media. We'd love to connect with you. And I wonder if it's also a part of the soldier's mentality, because when I became sober, it took me about a year of sobriety to get my confidence and be ready to kind of talk about it. Because when I first quit drinking, I lost all confidence. I had to kind of build myself back up. But now that I'm on this side of it, I feel like the soldier mentality is to turn around to people who are still in that hole and pull them out.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so that's kind of how we get to spread our joy, is by, hey, come with me. Look at us on this side of this.
Well, when you go to a recovery program, it's a completely new life, because I had to learn to change people, places, and things in my life. I had to take away the alcohol and replace it with something that's non-alcoholic. And the people that I used
Right.
to drink with, I didn't hang around with them anymore. The places I went, the bars I went, I used to go home from work every day, and I would pass by my watering hole, your place in Lidditz on 501. I would pass by there and think to myself, I'm only going to stop in there for one drink. That's all I wanted to stop in for, one drink. Never worked.
No,
Never worked.
Nope.
So, I had to change all that. This is a funny story too. When I first quit drinking, I took a 6-pack of Bud Light, because that's what I used to drink. It only cost $2.50 a 6-pack.
Wow. Okay.
That's how long ago it was. But anyhow, I inscribed the date, August 17th, 1975, on one of the top of one of the cans, and I put that in my refrigerator, and that's going to remind me that I'm an alcoholic.
Okay.
That's alcoholic thinking,
Right. Yeah.
It only took about a week,
Yeah.
because I mentioned that at the meetings that I did that, and it only took about a week, and I poured it all out. Thank God.
Yeah.
Good for you. Why do you continue to choose sobriety?
God, this is what God wants me to do. I'm not the kind of person that will get up and do a sermon. Although I probably could if I really wanted to. But I think my calling is to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety, and let them know how I did it, and let them know that it is possible if you want it. Every story is different, and that's why I like to go and listen to testimonials, because they're all different, and they're all different but the same. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
And it teaches me that, if I want that sad life back again, that all I have to do is go pick up a drink, and I'll have it back. And my where I stopped drinking was pretty bad, wrecking cars and and cheating, lying, stealing,
Yeah.
and if I start drinking again, it'll all pick up right from where I stopped.
Right. Yep. It's always good to keep that thought in the back of your head. Now, quitting alcohol cold turkey could essentially kill you.
Possible.
Did you have an issue when you first quit, or
Uh, I shook pretty much.
yeah, so did I.
The DTs,
Uh-huh.
I didn't get to the point where I had to go to the hospital or anything like that. But I went to the doctors with high blood pressure and hypertension, they call it, and I lied to them.
Uh-huh.
Uh, they asked me how many beers I drank a day. I said maybe one or two.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Nothing was ever, nothing was ever honest in my eyes when I was drinking. I could sit here and lie to you face to face, and it wouldn't bother me. It would bother me today, though.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that because back when I would drink double IPAs, which they just have so many calories, empty calories, and I was so swollen. Like I weighed 250. Now I'm around like 190. But back in my drinking days, I'd weigh 250 and be so swollen. And same thing, Doc would be like, "How many beers are you having?" I'm just like, maybe 3 on a Friday and Saturday. That's it. And I could tell they're looking at me like, "Dude, you're so swollen. Like, come on, you know." Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard because like as a grown man, you don't want to be embarrassed, you don't want to lie, but it's like you also don't want to tell the truth of how bad it really is. And
No,
yeah, that's
we're
not
just
good.
lying. We're just lying to ourselves. Actually, we're not hurting. I mean, we're hurting others that love us, but we're really actually hurting ourselves more.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who may be feeling stuck, like they want to make the change, but they're kind of feeling stuck? What advice would you give to them?
I felt that way too when I first started going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was afraid to talk. I didn't, and like Joe was just saying, I didn't want people to know my insides because I was hurting so bad. But the truth is that, when I started opening up and talking about myself, is when recovery really started kicking in, and it didn't take a couple days, a couple weeks. It took some diligent work against this awful addiction that we have, especially today with the drugs and stuff that are out there. It's bad news, and so I would say to someone that wants to get in recovery, try it for 90 days, a day at a time. If you don't like it, you can have all that goodness back that you had before, the sickness and the sadness and all those hurts and hang-ups. You can have them all back. But try it for 90 days and give it a chance because it can save your life, and it will save your life. I would guarantee the person that would get into a program of recovery, if they stayed sober, away from drugs or whatever their addiction may be, that if they stayed one day at a time, just like I said before, that things will happen to them beyond their wildest dreams, and I'm proof of that.
Amen to that. That is so true.
I also have to tell you that exercise helped me a lot too, because when I quit drinking, I started getting into exercise.
That's another common denominator. Our last episode's guest, he's this huge fitness fanatic, and that's helped him a lot on recovery. And that actually helps me as well. And how awesome is it? So I'm 2.5 years sober. I haven't had a hangover in 2.5 years. Dude, that is like the biggest accomplishment ever.
I don't miss those at all.
No, not at all. Because it wastes a day. Like you have fun drinking that night, but then the whole next day you're like worthless and you're eating bad, like greasy foods to like handle your hangover. Like, yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
And you don't get the nutrition you need to sustain a healthy body. It just don't care.
Right.
Right. Yep. And then that could lead to like smoking cigarettes, which is
Oh, yeah.
also bad. And then you don't care because when you're buzzed, you're just like smoking cigarette after cigarette. And yeah, you're just destroying your body.
When I quit I quit drinking August 17th, 1975. I quit smoking July of 76 because my guard unit, we were going down to Valley Forge for when the bicentennial, the 200-year bicentennial.
Okay.
The wagon train was coming across the country. And so we were going down to do security for the president and when he came in by helicopter. But they asked me to drive the bus, and that's when I quit smoking. But I'm so blessed to be able to do that. one thing at a time, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So I smoked for a while, and like I wish I could say I quit smoking for health reasons, but honestly, I was sitting on my back porch one day, and the price of cigarettes was going up. I think when I quit, it was like $2.99 a pack, and I had a cigarette in this hand, a beer in this hand, and I was like, which one could I do without? And I was just like, bling, I just threw the cigarette and kept drinking. So I literally quit for financial reasons
When
because
I-
I couldn't afford both.
When I quit smoking,
Hmm.
I could buy a whole carton of cigarettes at the PX for $2.50.
Wow, that's crazy. Now a pack of Newports is like $18 for one pack, dude. It's nuts.
I was about to say those days are over, right?
Way
Yeah.
over. Yeah, that's
A
crazy.
lot of stuff's over with, but today is a new day for anybody that wakes up in a normal life, and we are really blessed to. I'm blessed to be here with you guys. I
This
enjoy
is an honor. Yeah, this is an honor.
It is an honor.
Yes.
And Tom asked me if I was getting nervous. I said, why would I get nervous? I'm just going to talk about myself.
Yeah, this is your story to tell. Yeah, you should never get nervous. And one thing is, and you keep saying this, and it's so true. Every day we choose sobriety. This is our choice to do this because everything is so much better on this side. Why would you go back? It doesn't even make sense. Like I proudly choose sobriety every day. And I was talking to my wife, and I told her that I chose her over my addiction. And by doing that, that brought us so much closer. Not that we were really bad, but I'm actually going to have her on for episode 10 to tell my story through her eyes. But yeah, just the fact that she knows that I chose her over this addiction, that was everything to me, just like solidified us. And now we've
Yeah.
never been better. Like it's such a blessing.
It is a blessing. I would pray that anybody that's listening to this and watching this would reach out and ask for some help, and give it a honest chance to work in their lives, because it will I guarantee it will change your life, and it will change it for the better. I was just a fallen down drunk and no one really wanted to be friends with me when I was drinking. The only time they wanted to hang out is if there was a party, going to a party at a bar with alcohol there. But today I have so many friends that don't even drink anymore. I have to tell you this. I started exercising and getting into running a lot. So I had a friend of mine that worked for a NASCAR team in North Carolina, and before I got deployed in 2006, he and his wife got me a ride. He got me to drive a stock car. It was called Lowe's Motor Speedway. It was Charlotte Motor Speedway now.
Nice.
It's a 1.5 mile track, and I got to drive 33 laps around that track.
How fast did you get the car going?
I was allowed to go 152 miles an hour, and I went
Okay.
151 point something.
That's awesome.
I had a coach in front of me that if you got too close, he would wave his hand to you, or the flagman would give you the flag to get up if you were too far back, because
Okay.
they had like two cars on the track at once.
That's awesome.
But
Nice.
that's just the beginning of the story. I used to drag race a lot, and then in 2015 I did a half marathon race down in Charlotte Motor Speedway where I drove that stock car,
Wow.
and I actually won my age group
Get out. Congrats.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nice.
at the same racetrack.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the kind of miracles and things that I've achieved just because I didn't drink. And I'm not trying to put myself up on a pedestal or anything like that, but I have a car today, a 1967 Camaro that I've had for a long, long time. And actually, I still have my 65 Impala that used to take me to meetings when I first got sober. I've had that for 40-some years.
Nice.
But the 67 Camaro it has a wrap on it with a military theme, a ghost flag on the roof with some names of KIAs killed in action in different wars that are buried at Fort Indian Town Gap.
That's great. And yeah, never take this as bragging. In my opinion, we're all just a beacon of light. because anyone listening could be like, wow, I want to be there. So we're all just that beacon of light to hopefully attract people to kind of get like
Well,
us.
you know, Jesus was the light, so that's what we want to. I want to be in the light. I don't want to be in
Yes.
the darkness. I just hope and pray that whoever's listening out there that needs some help and wants some help, that they get it, and they progress in a positive way. That don't get down on yourself. Just keep going to recovery, because it works. It works if you work it.
It
Absolutely.
works if you work it, yes. And don't attempt this by yourself. Lean on
No.
your support system. Lean on your community. Like, yeah, because there are people out there that will help you. And yes, just reach out. Don't do this alone.
Don't do it alone, and know that you are worth it.
My name is Bud Blevins, and that's how I became this sober vet.